Hey, it's Dan. Welcome back to iAllegedly. I've got a good one for you today because we have the first bank failure of 2026. Wow. There's going to be more, but let's break this down. And I've got a bunch of other cool stuff to talk about. Like, subscribe. Let's get right into it. Metropolitan Capital Bank and Trust out of Chicago went down for the count Friday night, January 30th. Right after the bank closed, they were seized by the FDIC. Now, with all the news and talk about silver and gold and everything else in the news from protesting and everything, this was kind of swept under the rug. But this is very serious. This is something you have to look at and you have to take very seriously. And there's a follow-up story to this that's going to make you even more worried. First of all, the FDIC steps in and they said that this place was being run improperly. Okay? Loans weren't good. It didn't have good procedures. And that is the thing. When I've contacted the FDIC and everything I've read about the FDIC, they are sticklers with one thing, and that is, how is this joint ran? Do you maintain everything? Do you have good records? Do you not? Do you keep, all the employee information? Who handled what? Who did what? How money came in? How it was dispersed? Now you can sit there and say, well, every bank does that, Dan. No, they don't. I'm going to give you an example of another one. But Metropolitan was shut down. They had a loss of just under $20 million, which is $19.7 million. It's not a lot of money, but it is. It's enough money to never to have to work a day in your life if you had that kind of money. But the point is that you and I, the taxpayers, and the FDIC stepped in and wrote a check for this. When is this going to stop? When is this going to be something that is not going to, they're not going to be able to handle? Is it going to be 2, 6, 12 banks? With what happened with gold and silver on Friday, there was no war, there was no major news, there was nothing. There was nothing other than the banks deciding to sell you and I off. Okay, well, some of us sat there and watched and laughed while others freaked out. Oh, it's the end. A lot of paper, silver people that bought and speculated that it was going to go from 120 to 180. They're done. They're doomed. Margin call. Honey, we need to hit the retirement account or the bank's going to seize X, Y, and Z. Bad stuff happened Friday evening late. But this bank, this is the warning of all warnings. I want to give you an example. We don't know the full story yet. They're not giving us the full picture as to why this bank was taken over, other than irregularities, improperly ran, and management not being good. That's enough for me right there. I have told you guys to have multiple banks for years. You need to have 3 banks that are completely unconnected. The idea with this is, if one went down, if you were at, Metropolitan Capital, Bank and Trust, and you couldn't get your money out, you could go down the street to the ATM and get money out of the other ATM. You should have cash in your house at all times. For those of you on a fixed income, think of 10% of your monthly income sitting in a drawer. Don't tell anybody you have this. Hey, my stash is in the top left drawer. Keep it to yourself. Quiet. Stack in private. Be quiet about this stuff so you don't have a problem. But if something happens and you don't get your money, I've seen people not get their Social Security payments, disability payments that were due on a Thursday, and come Tuesday, they're freaked out and wiped out and have no money. You can't live like that. But this bank going down, this is a warning after warning. Is your money safe? Do you believe in the $250,000 insurance policy that you have? We have a lot of people in this audience that have a tremendous amount of money. And I've issued warning after warning for various things to change your beneficiaries, to make sure that your accounts are up to date, make sure everything is proper, and doing what you're supposed to do. With that being said, do you have over $250,000 in a bank? Why? Spread it out. Open up multiple accounts and make sure you're safe in that institution, and spread it around so you don't have to worry about that. Okay? Banks don't just fail out of nowhere, guys. This is really clear. This was a bad, this was ongoing, and they were given warning after warning. Now, a few things. Comptroller of the Currency. This is a great website, Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, because they have warning letters, and they will issue things like, hey, there's 65 banks that are in serious trouble right now. And you can go there and you can see this. Now, sometimes they won't, tell you exactly which banks are in trouble, but you have to go out and you have to protect yourself and look at, the finances of your bank and make the decision yourself. There was a bank last year that we talked about, which is a bank failure. Um, International uh, uh, First National Bank of Lindsay. First National Bank of Lindsay in Oklahoma went down for the count. Well, what we found out was there was fraud being perpetrated. And it was just like this story. We don't know what it is, but wow, it sounds serious because they just seized the bank and took people over and seized records and seized cell phones from employees and all this stuff. Well, Daniel Siebel, the president of the bank, was arrested and indicted. For what? For making loans to people. Oh, is there a law against that, Dan? Yeah, when you make them to your friends and you don't require them to pay you paid back, and then you manipulate bank records so that there's complete shenanigans, and it was just a scam and a fraud. And this guy, in this farming community, oh, Ted, you need more equipment. You need that, John Deere tractor for $750,000. Well, just come to the bank and borrow it. Then he didn't require payments back. Now, you can sit and say that's a great guy. No, the people that made the loans, they committed bank fraud, guys. Whether they knew it or not, they're going to jail too with Danny Boy. Danny Boy's going to have, Diddy as a cellmate. He's going to have a problem. Okay, that's my opinion. But these banks that are having these difficulties, this is only getting worse, and you're going to see this, multiplied out times 10. With this silver shenanigans, it is proven that banks like JP Morgan and Bank of America and banks that control all this money, HSBC, Deutsche Bank, all these banks that have these silver positions can do whatever they want and unload on you and on me. How would you like to be the person that sent gold or silver and at these high prices and they say, okay, when we receive it, oh, you sent a priority mail? Okay, when we receive it, we'll settle it out at that current day's price. And you thought you were getting $120 an ounce for silver, and you're getting 80. Marge, help me. Okay? Now, don't forget we have the private channel, iAllegedly Live. You sign up at iAllegedly.tv. Don't forget the video sharing site, newvideos.com, where we share stuff, and people are adding videos there every day. It's very good, newvideos.com. Make sure you're part of the email list and check your email because there's an email going out shortly to tell you exactly who won all the prizes, and the prizes will go out within a week to 10 days of that email. Final thing, and this just blew me away because it didn't have the national attention that it should have, and that is Synergy. Where have I heard the name Synergy before? Synergy is the gift card company that so many of us have used. If you go out and you buy a gift card at your local Kroger or your Albertsons, everybody thinks that when you buy a Starbucks gift card for your coworker that you're giving Starbucks the money. That's what I thought. And then you find out you have companies like Synergy that are the middleman to handle the transaction, the cash. And what they did was they were running short on cash and eventually went bankrupt late this week. And what they did was they issued a little memorandum that said, hey, listen, everybody, if you have a Synergy gift card, you've got to use it between now and January 31st. Now you're watching this video, and clearly it's after January 31st. The point is that you need to unload your gift cards immediately right now because of the simple fact that they may not be any good. And it's terrible. The biggest seller of these is Costco. We've all seen those deals, and my friends, and I called everybody I knew who uses gift cards, who's given me a gift card. I've had subscribers I reached out to. I've had everybody. My friend Tom would go out and they would buy, let's say they're going to go to Lucille's, the barbecue joint that I think is overpriced. He would go buy the discounted gift cards where you'd spend $79 and get $100 in gift cards. Well, he would go buy a couple $100 worth and then go to Lucille's with the family and they would eat up, but he would get a deal on doing that, which is a brilliant way to do it. And it would save him money. Well, he also would stock up on stuff like that because his wife would have clients come to town and he'd have 4 or 5 restaurants in the arsenal that they would use. And now I called him and I said, Please tell me you don't have any of those. Oh no, I used them all between Thanksgiving and Christmas because you mentioned this before and I did that. Now I want you to understand gift cards, you know, Synergy is a major uh, gift card processor. They're not a bank. They're not a financial institution. When did we see this last? We saw when we learned about things like Chime. People went out and got PPP loans that I talked about, and because they didn't have a conventional bank account, they put them in their Chime account, and then Chime said, "Hey, Marge, you got an $8,000 deposit here. This looks suspicious. You've never had a balance over $800, so we're going to freeze the account." Because the people were not sophisticated enough to contact Chime and get themselves out of this, they were stuck. And I helped some people get their money unstuck, but a lot of people got these loans and never received the money, which, the banks and Chime has a place in hell. But, you know, people started to rush once it got out. Now, this was reported in San Diego County. That was the biggest newspaper that I could find that reported this story about Synergy. And people in San Diego County started to rush and freak out to get themselves their debit cards used, or their gift cards used, and they got stuck. So what did they do? They froze the network right now. Oh, well, that's not fair. Gift cards are not insured. They're unsecured promises to give you access to the merchant that you requested. Doesn't that sound unsophisticated and uncaring and unthoughtful? Yeah, it does. It really does. you know, some people honored them briefly, but some were lucky. Places like Costco issued refunds because Costco, I'm telling you guys, you want to get a good story. Oh, my friend Ken is a Costco merchant. I wonder how it is. Ask him what the return policy is in Costco. I know a company that sold a product in Costco and woke up one morning and they were overdrawn by $250,000 in their checking account because of the returns that they had. And Costco just stacked them up over a 3 week period and sent them against the bank. Talk yourself out of that one with the bank. Now, to close this out, here's the connection between the two. Your money is not safe with these institutions. Your money's not safe in some banks. Your money's not safe on these gift cards. The ease and convenience of gift cards is great. I mean, my mother, when she was alive, used to buy me gift cards, and for Christmas, for my birthday, for Father's Day, I would get a stack of gift cards, and it was always great. And she had all the receipts attached to it where she bought them, and sometimes she bought them at the restaurant, sometimes she bought them at the stores, whatever. But she had all that, and it was a great little way to get these things. And I would see, she would always see how many do you have left when I would see her, and then eventually it would run out. But again, it's not protected. FDI insurance protects against bank deposits, gift cards, digital balances, stored credits, no such thing. Now, there's certain places I like Bespoke Post. It's a guy's shopping site. I love to give that gift card to my friends, but I always say use this thing. They will ship, stuff, and I buy 2 or 3 months so a guy can go out there and get himself, stuff. And again, they send everything from hunting products to clothes to hats to cool weather gear. I mean, it's men's cooking stuff to cook out camping. It's just cool stuff. Use the gift cards, guys. And those of you out there that gotten those lately for Christmas, make sure you use them. Okay? Now, to end this, I want to remind you that Metropolitan Bank and Trust had their money taken over by First National Bank in Detroit. Hello, okay? Chicago, Detroit, they're not next door to each other. How's that going to be? Don't worry, your money is safe. You can access the ATM. We're going to be able to contact us and set up the app and be able to download all your bank information. Sounds awful to me. Remember to protect yourself because not everything has the same type of stability. I always believe in credit unions. I always believe in having people go out and have multiple bank accounts. You want to get a hold of me, it's hello@iallegedly.com. Look for the best, work with the best, be smart with your money. And if you have just a little bit of money and you're on a fixed income, it's more important than ever that you have yourself protected so if something bad happens, you have access to money. It's just that simple. Okay? Good luck. And again, you're going to see many more banks fail. You're going to see this silver shenanigans and gold shenanigans continue to take off. And it's going to be a major problem. I am a firm believer that gold and silver are going to go through the moon. Okay? Just that's my opinion. use, do your own diligence and use your own advice and get your own advice on moving forward with that stuff. Onward and upward, guys. See you very soon.